for this problem here, we're going to find and read out the table. So first, we're going to say out the table. So following it shows that the capacities of the batch of 240 plastic bottles in a city. Now, the capacity in ml is we have 200 to 399, and the number of bottles that would be 52. And for 400 to 599, that's 60. 600 is equal to 799, that's 68. And we have for 800 to 99, that's y. And in the table here, 1000 to 1199. So here, the first question then, here we need to find out the value. Again, we need to find out the value for the y. Okay, so to solve out for the y down here, try to remember out those previous things that we solved. So first, let's write out the numbers, okay? So the
Okay.
numbers of the bottle for A is that we have 52 plus 60 plus 68 plus y plus 12. Now, in the question, it states that there's about 250 bottles. So we're going to write it down here as not 250, but 240 bottles then. Now, since we're going to use that 240 as the total outcomes, then we're going to get and add all the numbers then. So that's leave us with about 100, about 192 plus y is equals to 240 then. Now, using out here the 192, so we have y is equals to 240 minus 192. That is y is equals to 48 then. Okay, so we have now the value for y, so which is 48. So let's write it down here in that table for not to be confused then. So we have 48. Now moving on for the next one here, we're going to find out the B. A plastic bottle is randomly chosen from the city. So let V in ml to be the capacity of the chosen bottle. So let's go estimate the probability of each of the following events. Now here we have for V, we have 599.510. Now to solve for that one here, this is conditional of all the bottles that roughly about, let's see out here, about 600 ml then or more. So looking at the tables, we have, let's try to remember out the table, okay? So let's copy out for the second one then for this to not be confused. Okay, so looking out for the table that we have here now, we can write and say out for starting with the 600 then. So 600, we have to 700 to 799 ml. That's about 68 bottles. Okay, so you can see that here as 68. Now, for the next one, that's going to give us about 800 to 999 ml. That's going to be about 48, yeah, 48 bottles. Okay, and for the last one, for the 1000 to 1199, that's going to give us about 12 there. Now, since we're going to calculate out the outcomes for that, let's try to add all of them together. So the number or n of total, or n for this one, for n of the bottles, so we have that one as is equals to 68 plus 48 plus 12, and that gives us about 120. So that's the total for the bottles. Now, let's calculate out for the probability of 599.510. So or more. Or we have for the V, or probability of the V greater than equal to 599.5 then. So that's going to give us about, it's equals to 128 over 24 then, or 240 rather. Now, let's go try to simplify it out here. So we can divide both sides by 16 and 16. So that's going to be the answer about 8 over 15, or about roughly 0.533. So this one would be the answers then. Okay. Now, the second one then here. Okay, so the second question is we ask here that the V does not lie on the range of 399.5, so less than, okay, that's less than equal to V, and greater than equal to, less than 999.5 then. Now, let's try to find out the value for it then. Now, looking at the table, just move out the table for this one, since this is B, let's write B here. So this is B first. Okay, now the second one for the B, let's move on here, is we find that does not lie then. Now, looking out for the table that's starting with 400 or 399. So we have 399.5. That's going to be having out here as 52, and less than. It's going to be less than 995. So that's going to be all about just the two of it. Yeah. Okay. So we have, well, that's a 3 then. So we have 400. Okay. 400, that's going to be 60, 6 and 68, and 48 then. Okay. So let's try to find out all the 10 here. So to to find out the value that does lie on that range, so we have about 52 and, yeah, okay, so 52 and 12 then. So let's write that out here. We have 200 to 399 ml. That's going to be about 52. Yeah, 52. Sorry for the numbers. And for the 1000 to 1199 ml, that's going to be about roughly 12. Okay, now to solidify here, let's try out the number of bottles that we have now then. So let's up numbers then, or number of bottles. NB for this one is 52 plus 12. That's just roughly about 64 then. Now, since we have the number of bottles down here, let's go and write out the probability for that one, okay? Now, to write up our probability here, it states that probability of not in range then. Okay, so this a long one, not in range. That's about 64 with a favorable outcome, and the total outcomes that we have is 240 then. Now, to simplify this one here, we're going to divide by 16 again, and 16, that's going to give it roughly about 4 out of 15. Okay, so that's our answer here. Or if we got that the decimal value for that one is about 0.267 then. Okay, so those are the answers for that, for the second one then. Oh, answers. Okay. All right, now moving on for the next one then.